It's time for you to look inward and start asking yourself the big questions. Who are you and what do you want? The phenomenon of putting on a mask is not something new and is innately human. As humans, we adapt to survive, and oftentimes the environment that we need to adapt in is an environment full of people and their perceptions. So, as humans, we adapt what our faces show to what we want those people to perceive. And oftentimes, we tweak who we are majorly or minorly. For today, I'll discuss my two faces. Not in a snake-like way, just in a humane way. This is my mask, rather big. I tried to make it 3D, and I drew it out of my actual face, outlining it, but you can't really tell after I place all the items. This is the mask I often show others, which kind of seems bland and boring. This is the way I perceive myself, with a bit more color. So for today, I would like to start with the mask of myself. On my mask, you'll see many different things. First, you'll probably notice the picture of my family. Next is a drawing of the Colosseum I did myself, actually when I was in Rome. A picture of the Mexican flag, my printer has no color. Some flowers, and a rosary. I'll talk about each of these 5 aspects and how they relate to myself. Let's start with the rosary. The rosary in specific is part of a cult culture that I am in, which is Catholicism. I grew up Catholic my whole life, and oftentimes it's a symbol of my personality. I grew up with the norms that they showed me, stability it showed me, and it's a big part of who I am and my personality. It bases a lot of my beliefs. Now, if we look at the drawing of the Colosseum, this is merely a hobby, but the reason I find it so important is because it's a hobby I often hide. Oftentimes, I don't really express that I draw, and usually my drawings are more personal. And even though I do say that I don't like to express it, I actually do draw at work, but I try to hide that I'm the artist that draws it. It's very personal to me, and it shows a lot of vulnerability and feeling that I have. This drawing in specific doesn't really show much emotion, but it is a very dear drawing that I have in my heart. If we look at my family is very important to me. We actually took these photos not long ago. We tried to give my parents like ugly Macy level photos. These are all my siblings. We're 6, and none of us have the same parent. But although it can be disconnecting and hard, they are the backbone of who I am, and they kind of drive who I want to be. Someone who is kind and loving to anyone and all, no matter blood relations. For the flowers, flowers are very dear to me. The reason is that flowers kind of give me that perception of who I am in nature. The way I perceive flowers allows my body to relax. It allows me to be at peace and feel more at peace with who I am, etc. It just allows me to take a deep breath from the noise of society. And for my family, well, going back to the picture, they're really just like my personal relations. As a human, I need personal relations. I need that connection, and they really support me and give that to me. Focusing on the Mexican flag, that's a really big one. I am Mexican, kind of obvious, but it's a part of my main culture, obviously, but it states all of the norms that I have. As a Mexican, I have certain norms that people like my boyfriend, who is not Mexican, is white, doesn't have. Certain norms that we don't see as eye to eye. It also kind of is the backbone for the way I communicate. The culture that is in Mexico is one of more collectivism and is more of a culture that communicates in a way for the group and not for the individual. And, well, this is just who I feel like I am. And I tried to express it, but of course it's hard. And for the front, it's a little bit more blander. might be obvious to the reasoning why. Again, I don't have any color in my printer. But in the center, you'll see a big smiley face. Oftentimes, I try to give a perception of happiness, and that's just the self-monitoring in me. For the makeup brush, I try to keep it all together, look well put, as if everything is okay. For the family, togetherness, as I mentioned, me and my siblings don't all have the same parents, but oftentimes I don't announce that and just keep it to myself to give that perception of a connected family. For the dumbbell, it shows my interaction constructs, meaning I want people to perceive me as strong. And for the teddy bear, it shows my role construct in my family as the youngest, being the most innocent. Kind of bland, kind of boring, so I try to show this side more. Two faces aren't negative. It's human, as I mentioned. But when it does become a problem is when you let this side overpower this side. So just having consideration for what we show and who we show is the number one thing. So I'll try to show more of this side, but also consider this side. Thank you.